Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about rhythm as a way to rebuild reading after a crisis. According to new UK government figures for the 2023-24 academic year, children as young as 6 have been permanently excluded from school, and of course they don't even know how to read yet. With nearly 10,000 suspensions, too many young people and children are sitting at home alone scrolling on their phones. On the other hand, the government has announced that 2026 is the National Year of Reading. A reinvestment in children's reading is exactly what is needed right now. Whilst these figures are really shocking in terms of the impact that this must be having on the lives of the young people, they also point to the teachers' experiences. Teachers work very hard every single day with the same students, and they absolutely deserve to do so in a safe and respectful working environment. There's a piece of research that's set in the US system, and in this research, teachers are working with children with emotional and/or behavioural disorders. And these teachers were more likely to leave their roles when resources were low and the workload was high. Challenging and aggressive behaviours were one of the main issues and would lead to really difficult situations for the teachers. These students needed to receive positive reinforcement of their positive behaviour, and this is what the teachers needed to supply all the time. The students also benefited from a teaching technique which provides quick-fire opportunities to respond to questions at a rate of around 1 every 10 seconds. And once again, the teachers needed to provide positive feedback to the students. This technique is known as OTR, but it is actually quite an ideal sort of scenario, and it does require a lot of planning on the part of the teachers, so it's very difficult to sustain. Now, I know that we are all looking forward to every primary school having its own library of wonderful books, but at the moment, a chasm exists between the hushed world of undisturbed reading and the disruptive behaviour that leads to rising levels of permanent school exclusions and suspensions. And all of this is set against the backdrop of the social media drenched realities of screen addiction and the competitive nature of playing popular video games that are very fast paced. Is the fragmenting effect of screen culture on children's attention our greatest challenge? Well, 10 years ago, I worked with a group of Year 8 boys who thought that the original music written for Rhythm for Reading was very similar to the music in the games that they loved to play. At the beginning of a Rhythm for Reading session, most of them had an attention span of 6 seconds, but some of them could only focus for 2 seconds. I explained to them that each line of musical notation on the board would take them 10 seconds to read in sync with the music. They understood the challenge that I had thrown down for them, and they were keen to make their attention last to the very end of the line. I challenged them to go further, saying that 5-year-olds could keep going for 20 seconds. Unfortunately, they were unable to sustain their attention for that long. During each weekly session, there was clear progress. I was encouraged to see them build their focus up to 10 seconds, then 15, and sometimes even to 20 seconds. And I always hoped that we would be able to develop this further in the following week. But week after week, we always went back to the same baseline of 6 seconds of focused attention. It seemed that the robust effect of Rhythm for Reading was being drowned out by the video games that they played together during the week. I shared my hunch about the video games with these boys. A small group of them agreed that they would stop playing them and give themselves a chance to experience the benefits of Rhythm for Reading. It was obvious from that point forward which boys were still using the games and those who had stopped. I received beautiful feedback at the end of the programme from the boys who'd managed to quit gaming. They'd all moved out of the bottom set and they were getting back on track with their academic work. They had also started to learn to play musical instruments and they wanted to take up GCSE music. This experience showed me that the rhythm of learning is powerful and dynamic. We can use rhythm to shrink the attention system into tiny slices of time that are rewarded by digital symbols, or we can use rhythm to expand our attention to such an extent that the reading in a library can become an intrinsically rewarding and joyful experience. In my opinion, a weekly session of 10 minutes of rhythm for reading is just enough to activate the benefits of a powerful rhythm-based reset, whereas a daily dose of rhythm-based learning through a game can overstimulate the reward system and throw it off balance. If the system is off balance, it needs to recover through a structured system of rewards, such as the opportunity to respond technique, the OTR that I mentioned earlier. This technique can extend the attention system and can also bring the child back into a more positive relationship with their teachers. Like the OTR technique, a structured rhythm-based system such as rhythm for reading can rebuild the attention system so that children can look forward to doing things like reading, playing music, dancing, singing, drama and sport. And this is an ancient learning pathway. I mean, for millennia, humans have utilized rhythm and chanting, singing and dancing to overcome the disruptive and traumatic effects of facing down existential threats and predators. We really don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's simply lean into our powerful neurobiology. The UK government's new data on permanent exclusions and suspensions suggests that either behaviour has deteriorated or that schools have changed their thresholds and are now adopting more of a zero-tolerance policy towards non-compliance. It is really clear that a large number of children fall into these categories even before they're 6. But secondary pupils are 4 times more likely to be suspended than are the children at primary school. Poor impulse control and an inability to access executive functions, if not addressed early on, will become more problematic as the children get older. This may be why we see a deterioration with increasing age. These children fall further behind their peers and they are unable to access the secondary curriculum. And as we all know, secondary schools amplify the differences in children's academic attainment through structures such as setting. Children are at even more risk of being permanently excluded or suspended if they're eligible for free school meals, if they need support with special educational needs, or if they need recognition of their neurodiversity. In working with Rhythm for Reading in special schools, I have had the absolute honour and privilege of supporting many neurodiverse children and young people, and also those with special educational needs and their teachers. Therapeutic approaches have helped neurodiverse children and children with special educational needs for decades, and some people confuse Rhythm for Reading with music therapy. The essence of Rhythm for Reading is that it is just about everyone joining in. Yes, it is structured, but it leads on fun and playfulness and actually only needs 10 minutes of input per week. The structured elements of the programme do offer a sort of metaphorical anchor for social safety, and this might appear therapeutic, but rhythm is actually an invisible container for sound. Rhythm is a structure that offers repetition, and through this repetition, rhythm builds up a feeling of expectancy and likelihood. So, setting up a sensory framework in sound is not only calming, but it also lightens the predictive load, and this can make a real difference to attention, especially for those sensitive children and young people. So, if we want to move the needle on cognitive attention so that 2026 can be such an inclusive and fabulous National Year of Reading, then we will need to limber up. I can't wait to get involved as we prepare for 2026. And if you'd like to find out more about rhythm and screen culture, sign up for my webinar, The 3 Phases of Addiction in Childhood, A Teacher's Perspective. The link is just below. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.